Is the Gameweek 34 captain picks. Who are you captaining and a player that you currently don't own who you think would be a good captain this week, Josh?
I'm yet to decide. There's obviously a lot of good options this week again. Obviously, we mentioned Iheanacho. That Southampton game is quite nice because then you sort of get it out of the way. You can sort of put your disappointment aside for the rest of the weekend if you do that. If he doesn't turn up, but he's probably the most informed player in the Premier League right now. Obviously, Harry Kane. I see a lot of people go for Son, which is kind of worrying as I don't own him. And he's quite hard to get into my team as it is. So there's a few good ones, but yeah, I think that Spurs game. Maybe even Lingard against Burnley. West Ham are still fighting for top four, and he's one of their main men, although apparently he might have an injury, but I've seen him dancing on his Instagram this afternoon, so who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Okay. Nima, your captain and a player you currently don't own that you'd have loved to captain.
So what I will say is, for me, the City Palace game is the one. If it wasn't either side of PSG, that would be a different situation. Is it PSG? I've lost the plot this week. There's been so much football. Is it Real Madrid or PSG they were playing? I don't even remember anymore.
PSG.
It is PSG, okay. And Mahrez is quite exciting. Foden's very exciting. There's so many great options for City, but they've all just played 90 minutes in the Champions League. So that just leaves Sterling, and I don't really want to recommend him as a captain to anyone. De Bruyne, he won't play either. Maybe it's tough for me. It would have to be the City team, but which one you pick, that's just it's like playing Russian roulette. I would say actually, I should give this a shout out. So with the show Net That Hall that I co-host on, Mariner, FPL Mariner, he has a captaincy metric, and Jesus was at the top this week, and he was showing up, and we were debating whether we should remove him because no one owns him, or we didn't want to show it, but we thought it's better to be transparent, and Jesus looks good for this game. I'd say actually it's a shame he's not a midfielder, because then I would just go straight to him. Sterling, I'm not so excited. If I could move a forward to Jesus as a 1 week punt, I would, but I just don't have the money in the bank to do a Watkins to Jesus kind of move. But yeah, Jesus, yeah, you're right. How did you know?
I remember. You have to. I have to think similar as you. When you want to show it someone, you have to try and think whatever they're thinking. And also Gabriel Jesus, because I always fall into that trap as well. I know you're definitely thinking about him, because I remember Josh making me captain this guy back in game week 15 or something, and he blanked. But I remember against West Brom he did return, so that was a good thing. So this week, I remember last season he scored away at Selhurst Park, so that could be a good thing as well. It's definitely looking like a good choice as well, but I know someone will disagree. Ben, who are you going for?
I mean, now you convinced me that Jesus is probably a good option. I'm not really looking too much further than Harry Kane or Kelechi Iheanacho for my captain this week. I think those are the two standout obvious captain choices this week. One who would be scared not owning this week is Heung-min Son. I've got Lucas Moura as my cover for him right now, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. He's somehow stayed in my team. It's a bit like the Aubameyang situation. He's cut about. He's getting points here and there, but it's I didn't really intend to keep him, but there we are. He's still in the team now. I'm very tempted with Kelechi Iheanacho based off that Southampton press conference. Ryan Bertrand's out, so Salisu's going to be playing at left back for them. We all know what happened last year when Leicester travelled to Southampton as well. So very tempted by that, but currently on Kane out of pure fear of his expected ownership.
Before I get into my captaincy pick, I want to ask you guys a question, because you've mentioned Iheanacho. Josh, are you usually afraid of captaining someone from the first game of the weekend?
If it's a Saturday kickoff, yeah, but Friday nights are a little bit different. You never back the early kickoff, but it's far too early on Friday night.
Right, okay. How about you, Nima? Do you consider that, or you're nah, I don't care, as long as it's a good captaincy choice, I'm going for him?
I do generally try to avoid it, but I've heard some rumors that apparently the Friday one doesn't count as an early kickoff because it's dark outside. Apparently the 12:30 on Saturday is the early kickoff, even if the deadline's on Friday. The Saturday is the early kickoff, and we saw Salah in the early kickoff last week. That wasn't a bad captaincy, so I think those memes and rumors. The only thing that I think about is it can be a lot of stress if you're captain blanks and you've got a whole game week to get through. So I empathize with that. But equally, like if you captain like a Monday night player and every other captain bangs on the weekend, that's a pretty stressful weekend too. So no, there's no two ways about it. Like I would just say captain the best player. Like don't choose the time of the fixture.
I think Josh knows about the waiting a weekend for a captaincy and then he goes and blanks.
Until like Saturday night, yeah. And this days, like last week, there was like games for 8 consecutive days.
You captained Vardy or something against Liverpool.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, and everyone had a captain return.
Yeah, not ideal.
And then you literally have to wait all week. These days, especially, you have to wait until the next Thursday for your game, because these days the games stretch up to 8 to 9 days, so the wait is too much. So for me, I mean, Nima's really tempted me, that Fernandes, those stats from Fernandes. I mean, also Josh, I know Liverpool usually don't beat you guys at Old Trafford, so it's very, very tempting to go with Fernandes. It's currently on Fernandes because that's the only guy I have who's alongside the Tottenham players. It's currently on Fernandes, but I'm looking to change it to Kane. So to be Kane, I'm not 100% sure because of his injuries. So for me, my first option would be Son. Son definitely against Sheffield United at home. You can see him scoring, especially if Kane doesn't play 90 minutes in that game. You can see him scoring in that. And so Son has to be the obvious choice. I actually feel scared for you, Josh, not owning him. I think everyone will have him this week, and probably at least 60% from the mini leagues will captain him. And then for a player I don't currently own, it's a tough one, but I have to go with Kelechi, and I think he's on top form. Why don't I own him, man? I was the first person to tip him in January. Like, that's something I've definitely learned for next season. If you're tipping someone, you go for him. Ben taught me that. If you tip someone, just go for him. Don't just say it. So definitely a nacho for me on Friday night against Southampton. Southampton also conceded a lot of goals. And the last time they're in that stadium, 9-0. So it could happen again, maybe.